If there's one thing that can decide the future of your ISO certification, it's the time of the audit, isn't it? Some mistakes can be made in this process, and today I'm going to talk about the most common ones and, of course, how you can avoid them in your organization. First of all, like this video, share it with anyone who needs to hear this content, and subscribe to the channel to keep up with our tips. First, wanting to show that everything is perfect. The first mistake we regularly encounter is when a company tries to show the auditor that everything is perfect, that there are no errors in the management system. But let's face it, auditors visit a lot of companies and already know that, as in life, not everything goes exactly to plan. What they want to see is not a flawless system, but how your company deals with those flaws when they happen. So, a very common mistake is to try to hide everything. Processes that aren't working well, indicators that haven't been met, records that show deviations. But in reality, the auditor expects you to demonstrate how you manage these situations. How do you act when an objective is not achieved? How does your team respond when something gets out of hand? The tip here is, don't be afraid to show that there are problems. Have a good system for identifying and dealing with them. That makes all the difference. Second, the last-minute rush. Now tell me if that scene sounds familiar. The audit is coming up and suddenly everyone panics. There's a rush to organize documents, update overdue forms, try to fill in reports that no one has looked at in the last few months. This is a classic mistake for companies that are not yet mature in their management system. Ideally, the system should be kept up to date throughout the year, without the need for a last-minute rush. What can we do to avoid this? Continuously monitor your objectives, KPIs, and risks. Ensure that documentation is always up to date. If there are records that are never filled in, it may be time to question whether they are really necessary. Fraction internal audits and process reviews over time to avoid overloading around the external audit. At the end of the day, nobody needs to lose any sleep before the audit. If everything is being monitored on a day-to-day basis, the audit will simply be a reflection of what the company already does naturally. Third, management system closed to a restricted group. Another very common mistake is when the management system is restricted to just the team that looks after it. Has it ever happened that an auditor walks around the company, stops an employee in the corridor and asks, "How long have you worked here? What training have you received? Do you know the company's policies? Do you know what the risks of your job are?" And often the answer is, "I don't know. I've never been told about it." This is because the management system is often not well disseminated among all levels of the organization. And here comes a big problem. If employees don't know the company's guidelines, processes, policies, and the risks of their work, then the management system isn't really in place. What can we do to avoid this? Train all employees, not just those who look after the management system. Engage the teams, show them the importance of certification and how it impacts on their daily lives. Make sure people know what to do and where to find information when they need it. If the auditor interviews someone and they say they do it the way they've always done it, without knowing if it's in line with the company's procedures, this could be a problem. So remember, record what you do and do what you record. Fourth, not taking advantage of the auditor's expertise. And now for a bonus tip. Many see the auditor as someone who only comes to find fault and point out problems, but that's not quite true. The auditor is an excellent source of good practice. Instead of just answering questions and trying to hide problems, take the opportunity to ask, "Have you seen other companies deal with this kind of situation? How did they resolve it? What good practices can you suggest to improve this process?" Often the auditor can bring valuable insights that go beyond what's in the report. So the tip here is, use the audit as a learning moment, not just as a test to pass. So, to recap the most common mistakes, wanting to show that everything is perfect, the important thing is not to hide flaws, but to show how they are dealt with. The last-minute rush, keep everything up to date over time to avoid unnecessary stress. Closed management system. All employees need to know and participate in the management system, not taking advantage of the auditor's experience. Use this time to learn and bring improvements to your company. So, have you ever been in one of these situations? Do you know someone who could benefit from these tips? So share this video and continue the conversation with us. If you have any more questions or experiences to share, leave them here in the comments. See you next time.